In light of all of the things going on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the Comeys of the world, all of the bad things that went on, it's called the swamp. And you know what happened, and you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it.
Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It is the 20th of November, and on today's podcast, I have a good one for you today. I find most intriguing. It is entitled, Who Trapped Who? Anyone that follows my Twitter feed is aware that from the moment the WB story broke, I have been saying it was a designed operation targeting the Democrats. And my friends, that's exactly what this is, and I'm going to break it all down for you right now. This should be spread on all social media because it is extremely important what trap has been laid. And as you can see from that intro video, he has them all. All the Adam Schiffs, all the deep state out there, he set the trap and he caught them all as the rats that they are. My friends, before we get into today's podcast, it's good to be back. We are fully operational right now. Just took a little bit of time, actually not that much time at all. We're back with streaming. We will be doing Beyond the Headlines with Linda on Friday. We will be having guests on and everything. We're ready to go. Fully operational, as I said before. My deep appreciation to all of you for supporting me through this, and I'll never forget it. I'm a loyalist. So, guys, really good to be back, 100%. And before we get into today's podcast, would you please welcome my sponsor, Noble Gold. Hey guys, I wanted to tell you about my sponsor, Noble Gold, and what they're offering for the month of November. For the month of November, we have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. We also have Christmas coming up. And what better way to get a gift for an American patriot? Doesn't matter if they served or if they just respect our president. We have a beautiful Commander-in-Chief coin, as you can see here. It actually comes in this velvet case, an amazing gift. On the back of this, as you can see, it is President Trump's promises to America. And then on the front side, you will see President Trump with his hand over his heart and the American flag in the background. This is a beautiful gift. I can promise you that. If you order one today by going to TrumpCoin 2020 and typing in the promo code TRUreporting10, you will get $10 off of this awesome gift. I'm telling you, if somebody opened this up on Christmas morning or for Thanksgiving or for Veterans Day, they're going to be blown away. So make sure you pick one up today by going to TrumpCoin2020.com and typing in the promo code TRUreporting10 for your discount today. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the podcast. All right, guys, it's good to have you aboard. Before we get into today's podcast, would you please go ahead and subscribe to True Reporting 2.0. All you have to do is go into the search bar on YouTube, type in True Reporting 2.0, and click subscribe. Secondly, would you please go ahead and click the notification bell so when I post to this channel, you'll be the first to know. And finally, would you please go ahead and click the like button. The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. And with that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So it's entitled Who Trapped Who, just like what correlates with the intro video. Anyone that follows my Twitter feed is aware that from the moment the WB, as you can see what that shortening is, that abbreviation, the story broke, I have been saying it was designed operation targeting the Democrats. Somehow, Trump baited someone to leak to the WB a false description of the call with the Ukrainian president. It seems the purpose was to force the Democrats into a baseless impeachment chase and open a national conversation about Ukraine. This then becomes the catalyst to reveal the results of what I have termed Phase 2, the prosecution phase of dealing with the coup plotters. And I believe that 17 is even talked about Phase 1, Phase 2. We get to Phase 5. There is no Phase 5, and I'll bring that up later into the podcast with the 17 drops that we've been getting lately. Continuing forward, the prosecution phase of dealing with coup plotters. I've had different ideas about who leaked. We know who the WB did not have the first-hand knowledge, so someone leaked it to him. At first, I speculated it could have been a whisper campaign in the presence of a previously known WH leaker, White House. Then, when the second WB story broke, I speculated it was a fellow CA agent assigned to the White House for some purpose. But admittedly, this was still an area of uncertainty. The leaker had to be someone so credible that the Democrats would launch into action assuming the information was accurate. Makes complete sense, guys. On Monday, Fiona Hill gave testimony to Adam Schiff's inquisition. She testified that Bolton told her over the summer that he wanted Giuliani referred to the White House attorneys because he, in quote, wanted no part of the effort. And as a result, more scrutiny turned to Bolton as the leaker. I hadn't explored that idea too much because I just don't want to buy that Bolton wants to hurt Trump. Then earlier today, someone shared a video with me on YouTube, and this will be in the description box below if you want to watch it. He basically lays it out for you. To be clear, I only watched the first 5 minutes where they were discussing Bolton being the leaker. I am not endorsing either of the two people in this video or any of their ideas, but I thought it was important to explain how I ended up going down the rabbit hole I'm about to share with you. What I will say is that Mr. Schiff was sufficiently persuasive that it made me start thinking. Mr. Schiff is the person in this video right here above us. Why would Bolton speak to someone so clearly anti-Trump as Fiona Hill and push the idea that Giuliani was doing something inappropriate in the summer? Presumably, this preceded the July 25th call with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Well, either he was authentically concerned or it was bait, like chumming the waters for anyone with fishing experience. Since Mr. Schiff had mentioned that Laura Ingraham had discussed Bolton being the leaker, I figured I would search Twitter to find a clip. I typed Ingraham Bolton into the search, and a very interesting article popped up. It was written by @Jonathan V. Swan at Axios, and it is entitled Exclusive Leaked Trump Vetting Documents. Somehow I missed this story, but it immediately triggered my thinking. Trump is infamous for leaking information that most would consider damaging. What do we have here but a treasure trove of information on all of the people that were vetted during the transition? In effect, dishing the dirt on everyone in Trump world. But I was looking for information that could persuade me that Bolton was the leaker. So what did I find? Well, along with this article came links to each person's vetting document. You will never guess whose vetting document was included in this trove. Yup, John Bolton. Here were the two top items. And we see here, Bolton was critical of Trump's remarks on NATO, calling them, and in quote, a dagger at the heart of the most successful military political alliance in human history, and urged Trump to retract his remarks. Bolton said what Trump said about Erdogan in his statements to the New York Times was, in quote, very troubling. The information was interesting, but what I found more interesting was the timing. Remember, we found out from Fiona Hill testimony that in the summer, Bolton was telling her that he wanted nothing to do with Giuliani. Summer. So just preceding that conversation, the waters were chummed. Bolton has issues with Trump. A dagger at the heart, very troubling. Now the idea Bolton was the leaker as part of a bait trap strategy had my full attention. There are no coincidences, so I kept searching. First thing I did was look for the Ingraham clip referring to Mr. Schiff, but I also found the clip from the night Bolton quit/got fired. The, in quote, firing and the Ingraham episode happened on 9/10/19. This monologue was a treasure trove of clues. Here's the video. Let's check that out.
When the story broke that National Security Advisor John Bolton was fired, Trump-hating politicos and media types seized on the departure as more evidence that the doors are coming off the White House.
The most convincing evidence that we've seen of late that we have a governing crisis.
Adversaries had already detected a significant amount of disarray and chaos.
Nobody lasts long in the chaos of the Trump administration.
It certainly projects instability to both allies and adversaries alike.
I don't think we can emphasize enough, and I heard from a senior Democratic foreign policy maven, if you will, the amount of dysfunction in the foreign policy apparatus.
Policy maven, if you will. Well, as usual, the lemmings are totally jumping off the ledge together, okay? Here's what I learned when I was a 22-year-old White House staffer. You know what I learned? That you work at the pleasure of the chief executive, the President of the United States. So if you accept any position in any administration, your job is to pursue the goals of the president, not your own. Your job is to find ways to accomplish his priorities, not your own. Your job is to advocate his worldview, not your own. But his position at the White House, let's all be honest, it was always going to be a complicated fit. Now, remember, Bolton, of course, worked for George W. Bush in one position as UN ambassador. And in some areas, he's closer to the interventionist wing of the GOP than he is to Trump's America First view. Now, I still remember when the Democrats used to agree with being a less interventionist power. But then Trump derangement syndrome took hold, and they became walking contradictions of themselves. Here's what Democrats sounded like when Bolton was appointed.
John Bolton didn't even know what he was being hired for,
right?
Let alone not knowing that he was being hired. And John Bolton is a dangerous man.
John Bolton, I think, is a disastrous pick.
When it comes to John Bolton, if Congress does not want to go to war, now is the time to start putting restraints on this president.
Here's what they sound like now.
On a couple key issues, this failed idea for a summit at Camp David and these colossal failures with North Korea, Bolton was right.
You need a national security advisor who's willing to give you alternative views.
John Bolton will land on his feet. He also has a knowledge about certain ways of the international affairs, international actions.
So as you can see, guys, something definitely is going on with Bolton. That he favors the GOP, he doesn't favor POTUS, and I know this is dated. I get that, but this is huge, guys. That we're putting it all together. That before and after of how the Dems treated him in the beginning and now they treat him now, very, very strange. It all ties together. Wait and watch. Now, continuing forward, as you watch this video, you have to put yourself back into the context of that moment while layering on the things we know now. Trump has just canceled a, in quote, secret meeting with the Taliban on 9/11 and was supposedly considering a meeting with Rouhani as part of a capitulation to rejoin the Iranian nuclear deal. These were the issues that had supposedly angered Bolton so much that he had an argument with Trump. We also know that by the point of the Bolton firing, the WB had already filed an anonymous complaint with the CA General Counsel, met with Schiff, and filed with the WB complaint. Schiff's aide, Thomas Egan, had already met with Bill Taylor. Taylor had already sent the quid pro quo text, and Gordon Sondland had already spoke with the White House and denied any quid pro quo. Assuming Bolton was the leaker, all of these actions were taken by the Democrats based on their belief that Bolton had turned on Trump. Why were they so certain of this? We will look at that further later. So in this context, the clips of the Democrats' comments about Bolton's firing are very interesting. Bernstein, in quote, governing crisis, Brennan, disarray and chaos. Then Ingram lectures about how people serve at the pleasure of the president and need to follow his directives. It says here, if they can't, they need to go, she says. Ingram plays the clearly negative views expressed by the Democrats when Bolton was fired, and then you'll never guess who was the first clip was defending Bolton after he was fired? Adam Shifty Schiff. He extols how, in quote, on a couple of key issues, this failed idea for a summit at Camp David and the colossal failures with North Korea, Bolton was right. Sheila Jackson Sheila Jackson Lee says he also has a knowledge about the ways of international affairs, international dealings. All of it is so very interesting. Since Ingram had also used a clip of the press conference that Pompeo and Mnuchin gave when Bolton was fired, I went to watch it. Pompeo also makes the point that the president deserves the staff he wants, and that will help him carry out his agenda. He acknowledges that he deals with people all of the time with differing views and directly says that there are issues on which they do not see eye to eye. Mnuchin says that they are completely committed to the maximum pressure campaign with Iran, but they are willing to meet with Rouhani without precondition. Pompeo acknowledges the palace intrigue, but says they will not get into it. Then I remembered the resignation letter everyone made such a big deal about. They said it showed Bolton resigned. Trump hadn't fired him. Bolton had even made a point to write a tweet to clarify that the president was wrong. He resigned and Trump had, in quote, lied about what happened. And as you can see here, I hereby, dear Mr. President, I hereby resign effective immediately as Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs, John R. Bolton. Stepping back, you have to ask yourself, guys, what in the hell were we witnessing? Considered in context, it sure felt like Bolton had broken with the White House and was willing to speak out to clarify things. The madness of the president willing to invite the Taliban to U.S. soil on 9/11 was the last straw. Given what the Democrats, in quote, knew via Schiff, if Bolton was the leaker, this all would be a very convincing spectacle. Convincing enough to get Pelosi to declare impeachment before she saw the transcript? Yup. Let's take a moment and look at what was happening in the lead up to July 25th and the call that helped seal the deal for Democrats buying Bolton's flip. I am going to start with a tidbit we learned in the wake of the Bolton firing from NBC News. You will never guess who Trump has been speaking with since last fall. As President Donald Trump began losing confidence in National Security Advisor John Bolton, whom he fired on Tuesday, which is a lie, he reached out to the man he had fired to give Bolton the job, retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. In phone calls to McMaster, the first of which took place last fall, as President Donald Trump began losing confidence in the National Security Advisor John Bolton, whom he fired on Tuesday, he reached out to the man he had fired to give Bolton the job, retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. In phone calls to McMaster, the first of which took place last fall, Trump told his second national security advisor that he missed him. According to two people familiar with the conversations, it's a sentiment the president has also expressed to White House aides, they said. Trump has also solicited McMaster's advice on various national security challenges, even asking McMaster whom he should nominate to lead the Pentagon. All right, guys. Now, given everything everyone is certain about McMaster and his involvement in undermining Trump, why would Trump be calling him and expressing his frustration with Bolton? Seemingly, Trump has been baiting the Ukraine affair for a lot longer than I previously assumed. As we approach the date and of the call, we get reports of Trump reaching his limit with Bolton. This is from an article on July 23rd. President Trump's frustrations with the National Security Advisor John Bolton are boiling over, and he is considering removing his hawkish foreign policy aide, according to the sources close to the White House. And where was Bolton as Trump's frustrations boiled over in the days leading up to the Zelensky call? In Asia. U.S. Advisor Bolton urges South Korea to mend ties. By the 25th of July, the trap was fully baited. Bolton opposed what Giuliani was doing in Ukraine and wanted people to report the activity. He was calling Giuliani, in quote, a hand grenade and worrying aloud that Rudy would blow everything up. People in and around the NSC were on high alert, and then Trump jumps on a call that most believe was unnecessary. Why was it happening? Was this the moment? Had Trump finally gone too far? What actually happened, Trump told us, it was a perfect call. As you can see here, will the Democrats apologize after seeing what was said on the call to the Ukrainian president? They should. A perfect call got them by surprise. Completely correlates with what the intro video was, guys. Remember, he has trapped them all. He got them, in quote, by surprise. What could he mean? Well, someone in the aftermath of the call, Bolton convinced the CA agent that ultimately became the WB that Trump had demanded a specific action by Zelensky in order to receive the military aid appropriated by Congress. They had Trump, finally, a quid pro quo, but that never actually happened. And there was no way to confirm what the leaker was saying because the call had been quarantined into a special compartmentalized system. Proof that Trump feared the release of the call, they said, or just more bait. Yet somehow the leaker's version of the call and the transcript do not match in a very significant way. There is no quid pro quo. There is no demand. The withheld aid is never mentioned. The truth is devastating to the accusation. But why would a leaker supposedly concerned about what they heard on the call leak to the CA agent a false version of the call? Is that a real leaker? Was it someone looking to hurt the White House or the Democrats? If Bolton is the leaker, which of those two options is more likely? Given all of this, I started to wonder, if Bolton was the leaker, it is possible he was hired for his purpose, among others, from the very beginning. So I went back to research for when Bolton was hired, March 22nd of 2018. And for me, that was a light bulb moment. Why? Because March 2018 is a key month in the Mueller investigation, according to John Dode. In fact, according to an ABC News article referred to in @techno_frog tweet, Mueller told Dowd on March 5th of 2018 that as of that date, Trump, in quote, was not a target. As we can see here from Dowd from the ABC News, in my opinion, on March 5th, we were done. He had everything. He said he had everything. He told me that no one had lied. He told me that they had every document we had asked for. He told me that it was nothing more. He told me that the president was not a target. That is, he did not have any exposure and that he was a witness subject, which is perfectly normal for someone to conduct who you're looking at, but they don't have exposure. What followed that notification by Mueller is a series of events that put in place all of the current players and structures in the Ukraine affair. As I said above, on March 22nd, Trump fires McMaster and hires Bolton. And then on April 19, 2018, Trump hired Giuliani as a personal attorney helping to defend him from Mueller. But to believe that this was true purpose of the hire, you must believe that Trump was still a target and that Jay Sekulow authentically needed help. Some will argue that Rudy was hired to go on the news shows, but the truth is that anyone could have done that job. No, to be sure, Trump hired Rudy specifically because he could trust him to do what? Run an operation. Oh, and one last thing, in the spring of 2018, the Trump White House upgraded a security of the National Security Council's code word, the system, in the spring of 2018, according to two former Trump White House officials familiar with the matter, as part of an effort to ferret out and deter leaks. Now, going back to the beginning of this article, if this Ukraine affair was a design operation, then everything was set in place starting in March of 2018. All the players, all the systems. Following the notification by Mueller to Trump's lawyer that Mueller had cleared Trump, the bullet was in the proverbial chamber waiting for Trump to pull the trigger. But he waited and Mueller lingered. And during that time, the Democrats won the House while Trump strengthened his hold on the Senate. Why? It seems that Trump, knowing impeachment 1.0 was destined to fail, set the stage for impeachment 2.0, which we just had now, guys. An impeachment he would trigger using quarantine call and an, quote, leaker, feeding a known anti-Trump CA agent false information. An impeachment that would trap the Democrats. Assuming it was a trap, then at the point when the CA agent had information regarding this call, information he had no authorization to have, he was likely being monitored as part of a leak investigation. When he met with Schiff's staff and before he filed with the WB complaint, monitoring him would have been fair game, as would have monitoring the activities of Schiff's staff. Like the trip taken by Thomas Eagar to meet with Bill Taylor in Ukraine, the leaking of the story of withheld aid to Politico, and the attempts by Taylor to Sondland to acknowledge the quid pro quo. All of this would be actions designed to entrap the president. If I am right that Bolton was the leaker and this was an operation set up to target the Democrats and their attempts to remove President Trump by any means necessary, then things are about to get very ugly for the Democrats, particularly Adam Schiff. And here's one of the biggest problems for Schiff. It seems Pelosi has smelled a rat and now realizes she was baited into stupidity. As we could see here, Pelosi's press event began precisely at 7 p.m. Initially sans Schiff, and instead of updating reports and impeachment, Pelosi spoke about a myriad of other subjects, efforts to reduce the cost of prescription drugs, the college tuition legislation, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, firearms, sanctions against Turkey. The speaker barely said anything about the impeachment until Schiff arrived. Only it wouldn't be Pelosi addressing the impeachment. Pelosi would yield to Schiff. What happened next was remarkable. Actions leak louder than words. Pelosi then walked off the dais, leaving Schiff at the lectern. Pelosi took a seat in the front row of the radio TV gallery studio amid the reporters to listen to Schiff. All she lacked was a notebook and a tape recorder. There are a lot of ways to read Pelosi's decision to defer to Schiff. It was almost to indicate that impeachment was under Schiff's silo and his only. Congressional leaders frequently have liked to cede power to their committee chairs, or at least give the illusion of ceding power to committee chairs. Perhaps the speaker was distancing herself from impeachment, or indicating that the House would conduct its impeachment investigation and simultaneously work on other legislations. A skeptic might have viewed Pelosi's decision to sit in the front row as a way to divorce herself from the impeachment inquiry, or say, Adam, it's all on you. Don't screw this up. So again, guys, right here, post 3,606, which there are tons of new posts that we will be going over on tomorrow's live stream. I'm sure it'll continue furthermore. It's heating up, guys. It says here, there is no step 5 end. There is no step 5 after impeachment scam. Guys, it's over for them. They've tried the part 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. There's no more outlets. They can't keep doing this. It's over. They're about to drop a bomb on the deep state, guys. It's going to be amazing, and we are witnessing it in real time. My friends, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter at TRUreporting. Don't forget to leave a like. You donate to this channel by going to my PayPal, Patreon. We have a P.O. box and also True Reporting merch. The Patreon is completely revamped. I want to thank everyone for your support. Emails will be sent out. Letters will be sent out here very, very soon, possibly at the end of this week. So guys, I thank you for all the support. You have no idea. You are the lifeline to this channel, and this platform is your platform. Guys, please take care of one another. Love your families. Always take care of them, and I will talk to you very soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.